Um, did you hear the interview today with Dylan and Avery, I assume, and Jason Bierman of Loose Change?
No, I caught the beginning of it, but then I had to be in at work at the Daily News, so I wasn't able to catch the rest.
So you haven't heard it yet?
No, I heard the beginning of it.
Okay. What do you think in general about 9/11 Truth Movement? This is the second time Amy and Democracy Now! Has dealt with 9/11 Truth. First it was David Ray Griffin, and you had Chip Bartlett on, and I know you gotten some flack about that, and it's a big issue. What do you think the role of 9/11 Truth is in the larger progressive movement, and why do you think a lot of the progressive media and the left liberal have sort of, it's a hot potato. They've touched it and they get burnt, they're afraid to get burned. Why is that, and what do you see its larger role as, and are you glad that this is starting to happen, and what would you like to see more of?
Well, I think that the questioning of what happened on 9/11 has to continue, and that there clearly are huge gaps in terms of what the quote official story, the 911 Commission story is, and what people know to be from their own experiences. So I think that this has to continue, and the questions have to be raised. Just as when I was just a kid, after the Kennedy assassination, and after the assassinations of Martin Luther King, there were numerous questions raised and concerns raised about what happened at the time. So I think that especially for the younger generation, I think this is another attempt to try to get behind what the government is saying. I'm convinced, it took many, many years for me to be clearly convinced that certainly in the assassination of Martin Luther King, I do believe.
Well, you know, William Pepper was there last night.
And we've had William Pepper on.
You know, William Pepper's a big supporter of 9/11 Truth.
And I've read William Pepper's work, and I've become convinced increasingly that definitely in the King assassination that there was a conspiracy. In the Kennedy assassination, I'm still not completely convinced, although I do think that there are many questions that have not been answered.
Does William Pepper's role, such as last night, and Ralph's role, Sugarman, is their role, sort of the older left's role in the 9/11 Truth right now? Does that carry some weight for you?
Well, it definitely.
And is there a reason why do you think William Pepper is joining in on this, and Ralph is joining in, and some others very heavyweight, you know, old left is joining in?
Yeah, no, I mean, the part that I heard of today's show clearly showed me that the people from Popular Mechanics, their arguments were very weak. The arguments were very weak in terms of what they were presenting. I do think, though, that there are still questions that have not been resolved for me. It's not an issue that I have delved into as a journalist myself. So I can't say that my own investigations have shown me one way or another. But I do believe that the questions need to continue. They need to be raised in a broader platform and much more open and public debate, because the American people are asking for that. And I think that Democracy Now!, to some degree, and I've raised this in the past, has not been as rapid in responding and airing these things. And I think we made a step forward today, but we still need to do more.
Will you continue to step forward in looking at? Will you continue to step forward? And is there anyone within the 9/11 Truth Movement that you feel is presenting the information that you would like to bring forward?
Well, I mean, I don't know all of the people in the 9/11 Truth Movement, so I can't say, you know, one person or another should be brought forward. But I do think that that it is important to continue to raise these questions and to continue to have a debate, because the answers have not been clear, certainly not from the Commission.
Now, you've done a lot of work, amazing work, of bringing out the pollution and the dust and the cover-up after 9/11. Now, we had, for this 9/11 Truth this weekend, some of the first responders that are now dying because of that. We were lied to. It's become very clear we were lied to directly afterwards about the quality of the air and the dust. And so therefore, people sometimes say with 9/11 Truth, because it's such a horrible idea, and it is, and that the government wouldn't kill its own people and lie about it. Well, when it comes to the dust, which you're very familiar with, they did. They said it was safe, and they sent back its own citizens to now slowly die. And they are dying. And now when we have 9/11 Truth movements in New York City, we have former police department, fire department. No, of course. Well, you understand what I'm setting up. My point is, when I talk to these people, this is an issue that works into the larger issue of 9/11 truth. And do you see that as a legitimate part of what you've been doing, dealing with the pollution and how the first responders have been treated by the city?
Well, what I'm telling you is that...
Or do you think they're separate?
No. I mean, obviously, it's one event that occurred. It's one event that occurred in 9/11. What I have been dealing with for now for 5 years, and it took a lot of my time as a journalist to be able to get to where the information that I have been able to recover just on what happened after 9/11 in terms of treatment of folks. I have not been able, and I have not done the investigation to be able to speak authoritatively on what happened on the days of the attacks.
Okay.
You know? And but I do say that that, as I said to you before, I think the investigation and the continued questioning and the debate about what the facts are needs to continue. You know, for me, it's not a settled question as to whether this was a direct conspiracy that was involved, neglect of the government, or it's not a settled question for me. But I certainly don't fear having a debate and discussion.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Juan.
Okay, now